power and the importance of really cultivating what we will call good habits or positive habits. Because the truth is, habits finally or ultimately determine, let me put it this way, some will see your destiny. That is also true, but habits also determine your mental state as well as your physical well-being. As a matter of fact, habits affect or influence every aspect of your life. We also spoke about habits in terms of what it is, whatever you repeat continuously, consistently, that becomes a habit. And it becomes like second nature to you. As a matter of fact, you don't have to think about some things that you do. When you brush your teeth, it's like second nature to you. The only thing you concentrate is what tooth might, you need to pay more attention to. To shake somebody's hand, you don't stop and think, well, to shake hand, I need to open my hand. I need to, get a firm grip. No, you don't think about that. You practice that almost all of your life. So it becomes like second nature to you. And I used to say, I practice karate. I know we have a kung fu master somewhere here. And if you were to touch me in a certain place, I will automatically go into a Simbarayu position. In that defensive and offensive position. I don't have to think about that because it is all in me. That's been there for a number of years. So habits are critical. And Stephen Covey, of course, in his book, when he looked at people who are successful in life, he recognizes that they have habits that they have cultivated. So he wrote the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective and Successful People. In other words, this is something that they do every day. They have a mental attitude that they have cultivated over the years. And this is what propelled them to success. And so Jesus, we said, who is our perfect example, he had 3 habits. 3 habits you will see in Jesus. 3 habits you will see in Paul that they have cultivated. Now I need to say, habits, of course, are good. It could be good or bad. Whichever one you cultivated becomes second nature to you. And it will affect your life. So Corey, of course, and I don't want to reiterate all the things that we spoke about before I talk about Jesus. Corey talked about successful people. Their lives are governed by the compass and not by the clock. That's a habit, it's a mindset. In other words, they have developed over the years. They focus on those things that are important, and those things that are not important, they don't waste time with those things. Or I remember Michael Stewart in speaking about time management. He spoke about the fact that some things are urgent, but not important. Some things are important, but not urgent. And some things are urgent and important. What you have to discover is what is urgent and important. And your life is directed by what is urgent and important and not necessarily that which might be not urgent. Jesus, let me say this, and this is part of his habit. Jesus was never, ever driven by the urgency of the now. Jesus heard that Lazarus was sick, and he just, okay, brother, yeah, he's sick, let's go. Now, Jesus had 3 habits. So let me go back to what we said. Jesus had cultivated the habit of prayer early in the morning, sometime late at night. He will leave the crowd. He will leave the disciples and go into and this is important, for a solitary place. A quiet place. And there he will have a conversation with his Father. Before he chose the 12 disciples or apostles, he had many disciples, but he wanted to choose men who he could trust, men who he could depend on. And he went up to the mountain, spent all night, came down in the morning and said, okay, Peter, James, John, you come, you come, you come. He sought directives from his Father. Everything that Jesus did, he conversated with his Father, Another habit is Jesus went to church. Every Saturday in the Jewish time and culture, when the synagogue was open, Jesus went into the synagogue. He was brought up that way. And even though he was gone, listen, my friend, what sense there is for Jesus to go in the synagogue to do what? No, he didn't always went there to preach, you know. He went to Sunday school, Bible study, and one day they give him a passage of scripture. Say, well, son, you read. And he started to read from the prophet Isaiah, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. When he finished, he said, okay, today the scripture is fulfilling yours. And that's all. He said, well, and he sat down, and that was it. But he went to church. And the third thing we see, the habit that Jesus cultivated, is that Jesus, and Mikey was praying, he engaged people. He went about every town and village, preaching and teaching the kingdom of God. That was his habit. Paul the apostle, same thing. And when you practice the habit for a number of years, it become easy to you. It wasn't hard for Paul to pray when he was in prison. And may I say, the man who is writing to us and saying to us here, the text is, be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and petition. This man was in jail. This man was in prison. He was awaiting the executioner. He was awaiting his neck to be chopped off, my Nero. This man is in prison saying, you read most of it in the prison, rejoice evermore, pray without ceasing. And you could never detect anything of sadness except that he wished he was free. But even where he was, even though he was in prison, he was saying, oh God, get me out of here. No. This man was calm. He was cool. Some say he was collected. And Paul and Silas one day, again, the same prison, beaten, and in the stockade, and bleeding, and hear what? They said, oh, well, it's time to pray. He didn't say them wicked people, them bad, good-for-nothing people. And then after praying, he said, Silas, let's sing some songs now. This is the man who have cultivated what I call the first and second habit. And the first and second habit is what he said here. He said, be careful for nothing. You have to listen to this brother, because this brother, the man who had all reason to be sad and vindictive and bitter, yet this man is so calm, he's so cool. This man has no bitterness. This man is talking to the people on the outside saying, rejoice. What a man. So this man knew something, and he shares with us not just some ideology, but he shares with us things that he has proven, things that he knew, things that Jesus himself did. Jesus on the cross, all cool too. Hardcore Jesus. He ain't saying kill no boy, all the wicked people. He's able to say, hey, Father, forgive them. They don't even know what they're doing. That is not natural. That is not natural. He wasn't crying and saying, get me out of here. No. He was just cool. Taking blows, feeling, of course, pain, but just cool. Paul now saying to you, Paul saying, be careful for nothing. Don't be anxious. Don't be so anxious that you become, you start to suffer from anxiety disorder. Because my friend, if you, and that's a habit, let me say that you worrying or anxiety or anxiousness is a habit that we cultivate. You weren't born worrying. Nobody is born learning how to worry. You start to learn to worry from your mother and your father. How they treat with things. And I often say, I like to see, but people don't play dolly house these days. That is back in my day, where brothers and young brothers without no malice, they say, well, let pray, use the mommy and I's the daddy, and this is the child, and then you have women tend to fret more than men. The Bible says, fret not yourself. Don't worry yourself. Psalm says, fret not thyself. Don't worry. Don't be anxious. And you see the girl will say, them trying to get me vexed. Say yes. Because that's what we see mothers, some people do. We learn how to worry. Paul said, don't worry about nothing. As we said, the first point we made is that life is a conundrum. Life is filled with all kind of stuff, friend. You will never have a day in life on your journey. I don't want to say a day because you might think about 24-hour day. There'll never be a point in your life where there is totally nothing to be concerned about. I heard Dr. Porter said yesterday that, some of the pastors who came there, some of them were saying they were sick. Some people have health issues. Some people have all kinds of issues that they're struggling with in life. Because that is life. That's the world. You're going to have people issues. You'll have relationship issues. You will have relationship with your husband, your wife, your children, on the job. You are going to have issues. But the problem or the challenge really in life, and what I've observed in life, is that a lot of people, a lot of us, do not know how to handle. That's the problem. We don't know how to handle life. Nobody will teach you that, really. You can learn it from observing your mother and your father. And if when somebody take them off, they're driving a car, the cost, that's the way you handle life. If when somebody upset you, you want to beat the life out of them, that's the way you handle life. If you come from an abusive situation where you saw your father abusing your mother, that's the way you handle the woman. Well, most of the time. When you make those blanket statements, it's not entirely true to experience, because there's always a percentage that wouldn't do the same thing. But generally speaking, that's what happened. So the thing is, I was listening to a guy, he was a drug addict, and he recovered, and he have his own center, a wellness center, and he says one of the problems is that we don't know how to handle our feelings. that's how we feel. So we act like how we feel. So if you feel to cuss somebody, you cuss them. If you feel your emotion jump out, the monkey gland raise, well, you act like that. We don't know how to handle it. We say, well, I so. No, you're not so. That's what you have cultivated over the years. So Paul is saying, listen, I want to teach you something. He says, be careful for London. He said, don't worry about nothing. That easy, Paul? Don't worry yourself. Don't be anxious about anything. Because I want to quickly run, let me run fast, because anxiety affects you not only mentally, but it affects you emotionally, and it affects you spiritually, it affects your relationship with people, it affects your relationship with God. I said about 5 things or 4 things. It wasn't even on the script, but that's what happened. Anxious, you always have a person who has something on their mind. The bitey, listen, let me tell you something. If a man have, so let's say, what eating you? When somebody is in a state of anxiety, apart from some of the things that what it impact their physical being, their body, I understand anxiety will deplete certain chemicals in your brain that is responsible for feeling good. Anxiety also will also affect your immune system to fight disease. Chronic stress, whatever label you want to give it, it have that one would have a host of subheadings. Stress, anxiety, worry, all of that is there. It affects your relationship with people because you'll always be a kind of ignorant. You're always on the edge. You will be, you remember years ago, they used to say teachers, the teachers get a bad rap, but, some things are true. If your boss have an issue home, and he comes on the job, you're going to know, because you just let this sister Ben Wasi just look at him. What you me for? What me see before? Everything annoys them. Everything annoys. They see. They like how the person tie look. They like how this look. They like how that look. It affects your relationship with people, and nobody don't want to be around people. You drive people away who's always on the edge. It affects your mind. You hear what Paul said? The peace of God will guard your heart and your mind, because it affects you mentally, it affects you cardiovascularly. Hypertension, coronary disease is associated today. Modern science has realized that these things, it is not something physical, it is something psychological based upon what you have been musing over and running over, meditating on, or contemplating on all the time. So Paul said, don't worry about anything. Because worrying is constantly musing. You turn it left, you turn it right, you turn it. And you're just worrying about it. He said for nothing. Hear what he says? Nothing. 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 Nothing is nothing, right? Nothing is nothing. So whether it is small, whether it is it is large, because what you might think is small sometimes is most deadly. And the more you think about it, it grows. I will say it again. Whatever you focus on, it expands. Whatever you focus on, it sort of magnifies. The principle is the same both ways. If you focus on positive things, listen, if you have a problem situation and you apply your mind to getting a solution, you know you're going to find it. Because your focus is on how could I solve this? And all your mind is saying, okay, options, right, good. There is a part of, there's a principle, maybe that's true, but they put it this way, whatever you think you attract. They call it the law of attraction. Whatever you think you attract. I don't want to put it all those mystical ways that they talk about, but the truth about it is that whatever you think about, it becomes expanded and magnified. And I'll show you just now. The thing is that if you got to think about things like how you could solve a problem, you'll find the answer. But if you got to think about, I can't solve it. You know what that started to do? It started to magnify. And all of a sudden, you start to get depressed because it can't solve. You start to break down. Because as far as you are concerned, there is no way out. There is no solution to your situation. So you need to magnify the problem. You start to get bigger and wider. You start to have imagination. You start to dream about it. You can't sleep. It expands. So Paul said, don't worry about nothing. If you want mental health and heart health, mental health, emotional health, good relationship with people, if you want a good, because when you are worrying, you can't pray. You know that? The same God who you say, what am I doing? Oh God, as a matter of fact, you will start to now distrust God. You will say, this thing ain't working. So Paul says, don't worry about nothing. And then he hit the conjunction. He says, but. And this is where it is. The but cancels out everything else. But. If he had only said, don't worry about nothing, well then, Paul, you're helping me, you know. That is not helping anybody. That's a good statement, but that has no merit. If he had only said, don't worry about anything. As I was passing this morning, I saw behind a car, forget it. That's what they have behind the car. Forget it. I think she probably means that if she gives you a bad drive, forget it. But it's a good statement. And that's why I said, Paul said, forget it. Of course, forgetting is not erasing from your memory. But he said, forget it. Paul said, forget it, don't worry about it. He says, but, let me cancel all that. In everything, nothing, everything. By prayer, first habit. Petition, right inside there. That's the first habit. Let, with thanksgiving, second habit. Let your request be made known unto God. It's too simple, right? He said, listen, what you need to do is to have a conversation, or you need to constantly have conversations with your Father. You develop that habit. You know, most of us, you have a certain routine you do in life. That's what the habit is about. So anything goes wrong. In other words, when you're doing certain things, you are trained to think in a certain way. They condition your mind, and that's what it is. People, if a girl went to do nursing and she failed because she didn't wash her hands. She started off doing all the things that were supposed to be done, you know. But when she did what she was supposed to do, she did not wash her hands before getting over. In other words, that's a routine they try to put in your, that's a habit they try to develop in you. That's what they're trying to do. Do this, do that. Do this. So after a while, even though things are going wrong, it's just like second nature. You don't have to think. It becomes a part of you. I showed the point the last time with my wife. You know, she's an expert typist. And some of you don't know that, you know. And some of us like, because the computer just have you bong, bong. But, I mean, when she was going to school, I remember. What is? Yeah? Right? Well, that's the old days when you had to now your space. That doesn't happen overnight. So what they were trying to do in school, they were cultivating a habit. So afterward, it becomes second nature to you. So in other words, when you have to cultivate the habit of prayer, so when life situation comes, the first thing you do, that's the first thing you do. It's like clockwork. Danger, prayer. How Paul is saying. And Paul and Jesus, now we like to, COVID talk about people who were, highly successful habit. You didn't talk about the prayer habit, but I'm sure they were praying. Unless they were atheists. But prayer is the first habit. Said everything, communicate with the Father. Prayer is nothing, my friend. Prayer, let me de-religiousize prayer and demystify prayer. Now, I say to you, prayer has no power in itself. That's contrary to what you have heard all your life. Prayer changed nothing. Everybody prays. Prayer has no, let me put it this way, prayer has no innate power or capacity in itself. Prayer don't have a hand. Now when you pray, hand of prayer travels here. I have to stay for the hand of prayer don't go out and pull AOJ. I know you have heard all that prayer chasing, not everybody prays. Whether you are Islam, whether you are Muslim, or same thing. Whether you are a Sikh, whether you are Hindu, whether you are whatever you are, whether you Nazarene, whoever. If prayer had power in itself, the prayer itself would have go out. Prayer have hands and intelligence, and go out. No, but it is not prayer. It is God. See, this is what we miss. So we tell me pray. Yeah, no, not prayer. It is when you pray, God respond. The very peace of God respond. God answers prayer. So the emphasis need to be not on prayer, but the God who makes things happen. But the communication factor is necessary. Now, communication is critical, in life. You cannot develop. Let's take a relationship. You cannot develop intimacy with somebody that you love without talking. Is that right? Nobody. God has not given anybody the capacity to read minds. Now, I know someone will tell you that. Well, I know they're dealing with the devil. It's all right. Something will whisper in the ears. Yeah. Because God hasn't given man that capacity. Sometimes He gives us as Christians the discernment of spirits. But God doesn't give you to know every detail in people's life. That's a private thing. Some just guessing. But let me say to you, so you have to talk. That's how we exist in the world. Communication.